Hi everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the monthly economic update here on Economy.lk. Let me start off by wishing our viewers a very happy new year and all the best for 2023. Recapping the last few months and overall on the year, I think in 2022 we saw economic growth with the forex and sovereign debt crisis. We saw economic activity taking on a lot of heat and as a result a big slowdown. We saw the first 9 months of 2022 contracting by about 7.1%, and 2022 overall is expected to be the worst year on record in terms of economic growth. But moving forward, I think there is some optimism that 2023 things will pick up, in particular in the second half, once we see some of the tax-related items and some of the other changes having an impact on the economy, and then consumers' consumption recovering, as well as once there is more confidence with an IMF program, we might see investment and some of the other key drivers coming into play as well. Tourism, agriculture, those also will do much better in 2023 compared to 2022. The key thing in 2022 was inflation. We saw inflation surging. I'm sure it had a big impact on a lot of you as well. We saw food inflation close to 95%. We saw overall headline inflation, at least in the Colombo index, close to about 70% as well. Now we are seeing the early signs of this inflationary trend. So the pace of inflation growth is now slowing, and hopefully it will now come back to manageable levels and between maybe a range of 10 to 20% by the year end. Central Bank is a little more confident that it could be in the single digit levels by year end as well, because of the large base impacts that is there. This trend is really good for the outlook for interest rates, which also went up. The treasury bill rates, the lending rates all have been in excess of 30% in the last few months of December and of 2022, in December, November as well. And now we would expect to see some sort of reduction in these rates in the next few months as well, even though the central bank might not necessarily loosen or cut interest rates or cut policy rates in the early part of 2023. So that, I think that's something that will be a good reprieve for businesses, in particular SMEs, which have found it very difficult to borrow at these rates, even for their working capital needs. So this will be some sort of relief. However, the big picture is really the timing and when Sri Lanka will get the IMF package. And while the IMF is in principle okay with the arrangement, I think it really requires the creditors, in particular the bilateral creditors, to come on board and express their willingness to go ahead with the sustainability analysis and provide that assurance to the IMF. So far in January, we've seen India providing that assurance, and I'm sure the other bilateral countries will do so in the next few weeks, and that could trigger the IMF board approving this program, and hopefully with that maybe the first tranche will come in and really unlock other financing coming in, so that dollars will now once again flow back into Sri Lanka and help improve reserves and the dollar liquidity situation as well, and inspire greater confidence in the economy and greater economic activity. If that scenario really materializes, I think there is a lot of chance for the currency to be very stable at these levels and going into 2023 as well. So, but any delay that we do see, I think we'll see really some level of pressure on the currency, in particular if exports slow down and we don't really see remittances and tourism compensating for this slowdown. Moving to the global side of it, World Bank is expecting the third slowest pace of growth in the last few decades as well. I think that's something to note about, but there is mixed signals coming out, and here as well we could see maybe the first half a slowdown and the second half some of the key markets doing much better. And I think this is important in particular for apparel exports, which is our largest export item as well. And if we can see a much better second half, then there might be optimism for the exports side of things as well. So a lot of this is covered in our brand new Outlook 2023 report, which we just launched. It's available on our website, and we'll put the link on the video as well. And here we examine 10 key themes, some of which I just talked about. But if you want to read much more in detail, you can access this report as well. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll look forward to covering the economy during this year as well on Economy.lk. Thank you.